Welcome back. We're looking at the Dr. Disrespect case, and I'm just going to quickly read the latest tweet from him where he admits to something that was kind of leaked by someone, not kind of, it was leaked by someone on Twitter, ex-employee from Twitch, claiming that he was banned because of sexting with a minor and trying to hook up with that minor at TwitchCon. And he responded to a quote tweet of that using lawyer speak and saying, I never admitted to doing anything wrong. No parties admitted to that, and it was settled. And people kept on, people didn't think that was a good response, right? They were like, why don't you deny it? And then people were saying, well, he has an NDA. He's not allowed to deny it, which I don't think is true. If someone is making an outrageous claim about something and it's totally not true, like the NDA doesn't prevent you from denying that claim. So it was clearly, there was something. Everyone knew, like, okay, there is something. He's using lawyer speak about that specific accusation. And now we have this tweet. So we know what he actually, this is what he has to say. I'm going to quickly read it. And after that, I'm going to watch an old interview with him off character, which to me is more interesting. I recorded the video before this. It's actually 3 hours long. I think that's just way too long. But I was going through his old videos and stuff like that, like researching it, which was interesting. But yeah, I mean, seeing his videos where he's in character is interesting, but it's more interesting to see him off character, right? And talk about what it means to be a streamer and stuff like that. Let's quickly read this tweet, and then we'll go to that interview of him off character. Hello, I'd like to make a quick statement. Let's cut the fucking bullshit. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about. And I'm always willing to accept responsibility, which is why I am here now. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, everyone at Midnight Society Game Studio. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society and I. And we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. Our team is full of incredibly talented and good people that have high career ambitions and families, and I'd never want to jeopardize the culture we have created, carefully crafted. So there was a back and forth here a bit, not between him and Midnight Society, but they actually tweeted out before him that they let him go. And during his stream, he said, hey, maybe I should step down, which was kind of odd. Like, I don't really care about that part, to be honest, not too much. Everyone has been wanting to know. I mean, when that tweet was sent out, it confirmed to a lot of people, because it said, like, we assumed innocence, and then we reached out to contacts and tried to verify stuff, and we have taken the decision to kick him out. Right? So it kind of showed to people, like, there is actually something there, not just some random ex-employee from Twitch tweeting something out. Everyone has been wanting to know why I was banned from Twitch, but for reasons outside of my control. I was not allowed to say anything for the last several years. Now that 2 former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. I'm not a lawyer. Former Twitch employees are not bound by the NDA, as far as I know, because they're just not working there anymore, so those contracts are gone for them. But yeah, he's going to tell his side of the story. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. And this is the most damning part of his tweet, of course. He has removed the word minor at least once by editing the tweet, not realizing that people could see those edits, which is not a good look. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. And I want you to keep that in mind when we look at the interview in a bit. So there were no intentions. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. And this is really interesting, because what do you mean with a mutual conversation? Like, are you trying to say that that person was also being inappropriate? So they were like doing the same thing? So it was a mutual conversation? What does it mean? Well, if it was a singular conversation, is that just you saying stuff and then that person not responding? But yeah, he's trying to play it down, right? Like, clearly. He's using lawyer speak again to try to downplay it. Casual? Like, if it's purely casual, what do you mean? Casual? Formal? Mutual conversations that sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. It's like it's distancing the act itself, or the conversation, the way you label it, it's distancing it from the word inappropriate as much as it can. So it's just leaning in the direction. Like, we don't even know how much space is there in between where it is from where it's like leaning towards, the direction of inappropriate, but it has actually not even left the current location. It's like just looking at inappropriate from the distance and saying, hey, we might be going there, but I mean, you're downplaying it so much that it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous. Yes, let me translate it for you, how it should have been written, probably. Yes, there were whisper messages with A minor individual, okay, fine, minor, back in 2017, and this conversation could be seen as inappropriate. Could be labeled as inappropriate by some, and by others, maybe not. Like, he could have gone in that direction, right? Because there's a lot of weight on these words now. I'm not trying to explain to him how he could have prevented the truth from coming out. That's like not really what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, it's not smart. It's kind of contrasting with the interview that we're going to watch very soon. So, nothing illegal happened. No pictures were shared. No crimes were committed. I never even met the individual. Doesn't specify whether they tried to meet. Specifically talks about not actually meeting, which sounds like you're kind of not mentioning the actual accusation, which was sexting with a minor and trying to hook up at TwitchCon. So by leaving that out, it sounds like an admission that you did try to hook up. The only part, it sounded like with the accusation, they were saying like Twitch intervened. And that's not the case, because the ban happened like years later, because he's talking about 2017. The ban happened like 3 years later. So, okay, let's keep reading. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. This is what a lot of people that defend him constantly mention, like, he didn't do anything illegal. And then people try to explain, like, well, you can still do something that's inappropriate, but not illegal. And he's trying to distance himself from the word inappropriate. And I've seen a lot of people defending him by saying that, by mentioning that and saying it wasn't actually inappropriate. It was in the direction of being inappropriate. But my guy, if you're a doctor, you should be smart enough to realize that this is not how it works, right? Leaning too much in the direction of being inappropriate is not a good description, whatever it was. Let's assume that it was not too bad, just for the sake of argument. You don't write it in this way. The best thing you can do is say, people will probably be divided whether this was inappropriate or not, but I'm willing to admit that it was leaning more towards inappropriate. Basically giving the people that could still defend them and saying, well, it depends. Some people say it's inappropriate, some say it's appropriate. And then if you ask people, like, what is appropriate, inappropriate? And most people will say, well, it's appropriate or inappropriate. That's it. Like, that's the label, right? When you're talking about the direction, we know what you're saying. But if you put some weight on the fact that there would be debates on whether it would be like, yeah, I'm going to lean towards owning up and saying, he could have said, I can see why someone would consider it inappropriate. And looking back now, I would consider it inappropriate as well. But during that period, and that's like the apology thing, right? Like really owning up to it and saying, that's a missing part in this tweet. Like, what are you doing? What have you done to fix yourself? You know? How have you done the reflecting? Should you go on vacation with the entire family, or should you go on a vacation on your own to like a deserted island for like a couple of weeks and just reflect on everything without anyone there? I can see why going on vacation with the family is something you would like to do. So, yeah. But I'm trying to be balanced in this, right? I'm not just going to use that label. I understand that people are using that label. There are different qualifications, and he will mention that in this tweet as well. Now, from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. If I was like if I was his lawyer, I would probably not put this here in the I don't know. I don't like the structure of this apology thing. Not that it's super important. But yeah, it just makes it look even worse when you specifically mention that. That's on me as an adult. And maybe just mentioning that it's not good for your family, you know? Like, does he mention that it was fucked up? He could have specifically mentioned the husband part. Like, I don't know, expand on it a bit more. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll fucking own my shit. This was stupid. The big question that a lot of people have is, did you know? When you found out, what did you do? That makes a lot of sense, right? Maybe he didn't know. If he didn't know, like, I watched Asmongold's video. Like, that is a very important aspect. But everyone pretty much agrees that if he wasn't aware, when the conversation was inappropriate, that it was a minor, below 18, did he not know? And what did he do when he found out? It looks like, one would assume, that he would have included it in his apology tweet thing, right? If he didn't know, because that's a pretty good defense. Like, right? Lots of people will say, well, you didn't know, you couldn't have known. Maybe you could have done more effort to try to find out. Maybe you should have asked. But like, as an outsider looking in on those conversations, and that is all that happened, there is probably more understanding that you could maybe not ask the question and just have the conversation and think, that was dumb. And then suddenly you find out. But like, speculating about that stuff, I don't think is adding any value, because clearly he knew. He knew it was a minor. That's the reason why he's apologizing. It shouldn't have happened. Agreed. It should have never happened. It should have never started, right? How did it start? Did you reach out? I read somewhere, and that was a rumor, I think, that it was a streamer, where you're like watching someone else's stream. And, or was she like a huge fan? And part of like the Champions family and stuff like that, you know? I don't know, those details are interesting. Lots of questions. But on the base level, whatever you say, like the main thing that is wrong is already pretty wrong. And that is why it's being cancelled now. From a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I've never entertained these conversations. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. And entertained doesn't necessarily mean reply to, but it kind of also includes that, right? Entertain these conversations. It makes it feel like those conversations were there and I took part of them. But, you know, like that other person started having those type of conversations with me and I replicated. That's how you pronounce it. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, a father. It should have never happened. Lots of questions about how it happened. I'm not perfect. I'll fucking own my shit. This was stupid. Now with all this said, and this is part, like, this, everything from here to the end is really bad. That should have been it. And now that I've read it like multiple times, I honestly feel like that part was tacked on or something. Even as a structure, like the paragraphs, the points, you have all these points, right? Cut the bullshit. This is the reason why I'm posting this. Introduction. Apologize. Done. Right? That company, done. Why I was banned. Here's my take. This is my take. And then now from a moral standpoint. So like I've covered my own ass here. And then here I'm going to really own up. Right? I'm working on myself. I'm seeking therapy. I need a timeout. I need to reflect on things. Maybe say the repercussions, the actual repercussions that I'm dealing with right now have been spared for me until now, which is not something I deserved. You should have known about this when it happened. Not just a responsibility from me towards my community, but also for Twitch. I should have pushed Twitch to just disclose the information, even though I would have lost out the money. That is what happened. The more I think about it, that is probably what happened. Right? He probably wouldn't have... I don't know, maybe he could have gotten the money and not the NDA. But to me it sounds like the NDA gave Twitch a bit more space to say, you know what? We can just keep it under the covers because this shit happened on our systems, our services. There is already a lot of discussion about Twitch and young people and stuff like that, and like the bathtub streaming, and it's pretty... I'm not a fan of Twitch, but yeah. So messed up from Twitch, but also from the doctor here. But this last part should have been left out, in my honest opinion, and more owning up. This last part, like where you basically have like 3 sentences on owning up, really. Like looking at it from your perspective on what you have done to grow, to own up this shit, to prevent it from happening again and stuff like that. It's like just a couple of sentences. And said, hey, I made a mistake as an adult, true. As a husband, true. As a father, true. Yeah. But also maybe as a famous streamer, right? People look up to you. And that's why a lot of people are very sad, because they really looked up to you. So it's not just on you as an adult, a husband and a father, but also as a community leader, as a public figure, as a famous person, with a lot of young people especially looking up to you. That's how all the old people ended up watching your streams as old people, right? Those old people have kids. When you look at those posts or comments on their subreddit and all, like, that's why the last video was 3 hours. I was reading all of those. If you guys are interested, I might upload it. Let me know. But yeah, that part is completely left out. You do apologize, right? You do apologize to pretty much everyone. I apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, everyone, Midnight Game Society. Here, the family part is not mentioned. This is from the family outside, kind of. Right? I don't know. But yeah, this part, I think you should have not added this. You should have expanded more on the apologize part. And yeah, here we go. Now, with all this said, don't get it fucking... I'm going to do like a Dr. Disrespect impression. Oh man, I need sunglasses. Now, with all this said, don't get it fucking mistaken. I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no fucking predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things with those types of people. Fuck that. It's like... You can hear him screaming and yelling. He's like using profanity to really distance himself from those things, right? And then people are still kind of struggling, like, what then is your label? If you're not the Adobe Acrobat Reader label, you're not the Predator label. Safe to say that because it's also like a movie and stuff. But not that I'm monetized anytime soon anyway. But what is the label for that what comes before Predator? That what is leaning in the direction of predation. To, like, enjoying a fucked up conversation with a minor. Do we need another label? I get wanting to distance yourself from those very, very nasty labels. Because that is like cancellation until the end of time. That is where humanity has seemed to drawn the line, right? It's like universal. All cultures, all over the world, people are like, what the fuck? Okay, maybe in some cultures, in some parts of the world, they look at it a bit differently. So let's not get into that. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things. But those types of people, I'm not those types of people, you guys. Fuck that. That's a different level of disgust that I fucking hate even hearing about. It's really odd because it's like, okay, but then yours is also a level of disgust. What is the level of disgust? Like, he's trying to create these levels of disgust, and again, I get it. It's like creating a distance between yourself and that. But what part is owning up to anything? Admitting that there was an attraction, which would be like a devastating cancellation, of course. But it's honest, probably. Right? One would assume that you were attracted to that person. And even though you didn't have the intention to do anything, that, yeah, for some reason you found the attention from that person very interesting, which is odd to a lot of people when you have a beautiful wife, children, and you can easily, you know, do your thing with like adults. He has like cheated and made a video about that. People are now saying that's this situation. This does not sound... Would they classify this as cheating? Some would, some won't. Is it the same thing? It's around the same time. It could be. I haven't been following for him for that long, just since this videos broke out. But like, seeing that cheating apology video was kind of interesting. It really made me wonder why he uploaded that video. And I can think of arguments, but to me it really looked like a video that he was asked to do. Like, it came out, people found out or something, and like I think his wife told him, like, if you do that, that to me is owning up to it, and I will stay. That's what I think. But yeah, we don't know. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. It's still, you're in that, you know, you're creating some distance between yourself and those words, and I get that. And then cursing at those things, saying, oh, they're so bad. I hate those things. It's fucking disgusting. Then what is it that you did? You know? We don't know what exactly is being exaggerated. All we have are these statements. But I think I've said what I needed to say regarding the ban itself. I think here it's not true. There's a lot of unknowns. You need to explicitly tell people whether you knew or not, apparently. I think most of the world realizes that you knew it was a minor and you still had that conversation. Did you try to meet up with her? After reading it now again, I have to admit that I do think that you were trying to meet up with her, but the meetup didn't happen. And and then the question is, why didn't the hookup happen? Because the ban happened like years later. Did Twitch find out and still give you the platform for 3 years? And then, like, no. That's really weird for Twitch to sit on it for 3 years and then ban him. The ban came pretty much around that time, right? No, the ban came later, but they found out later. It was behind them. But was there still a conversation going? What? It was 2017, and the ban came in 2020. That's why Twitch made the decision in 2020. What stopped it? So it happened in 2017 and then it stopped? Because one could call it like grooming if you're still in touch with that person, but they're like not 17, they're now 18. You've not mentioned the age. So a lot of people are assuming 17. We don't know how long this was going on for. And honestly, when you're leaving all of that stuff out, it just makes people speculate. And then it's like, well, how young was she when you actually started sending messages? And at what point did it become? Because then it really looks like grooming, right? If she was really young and then you were like friendly with her and blah, blah, blah. And then like a year or two later, and then it started getting, you know, like you couldn't wait. I don't know. But people speculate. That's not weird. Yeah. To my team, community, industry friends that have supported me, I apologize. I wish I could have said all of this sooner. You guys have always showed me and my family love and support throughout all these years. We love you guys like you can't imagine. I have the fucking best community and circle. If any of this has made you uncomfortable, I get it. You don't have to support me anymore. But just know you have always been greatly appreciated. What he's saying here is like, okay, I think this is the nicest part of this entire tweet. But it's like, yeah, he's expecting a lot of people to just forgive him and to move on together with him. But trust me when I say this. To all my haters that live and breathe social media with zero life experience, I don't give a fuck about you. Finally, if you're uncomfortable with this entire statement and think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine. But I'm not fucking going anywhere. I'm not the same guy that made this mistake all those years ago. I'm taking an extended vacation with my family, as mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with a heavy weight off my shoulders. What I don't like about this part is like I'm coming back with the heavy weight off my shoulders. The only owning up really is now this tweet. Outside of this, maybe something with his wife that he had to own up to it towards her as well. I don't know. But it's quite a messed up thing to do. And for years, he went on like it was nothing. Like he had a name for like Twitch people, like the snakes, the purple snakes or something. So there's so much stuff added to it that just his apology could be so much better. It's not. Let's watch the interview.
By way of hands or applause, how many people are here to see Dr. Disrespect? Like, whoa, come on.
Me too.
That's what I'm talking about. When I think a lot of people, like obviously a lot of people know of Dr. Disrespect. I'd love to hear, like, how was this a career choice? I'd love to hear from your time at Activision all the way up to now. If you can kind of walk us through, what was that journey like for you?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you know, so I had a fantastic run at Activision. I was like,
it's so much more interesting to look at the real person, because all the other videos, it's like him in character. The only thing in character right now is his mustache.
it just challenged all my creative senses. I loved it, like level design.
So he worked as a level designer at Activision on Call of Duty, building maps.
Working in that creative environment, that collaborative environment with other extremely talented people. That was just like I was living a dream.
Sure.
And then,
So he was having a good life already.
you know, when it was time to sort of venture outside of the Call of Duty franchise and look for sort of like a new studio to work with and potentially move my family and location, all that stuff, it felt like, oh, I work on Call of Duty, I should be able to pick up a job relatively quickly, based off that experience.
Little game called Call of Duty.
Yeah, and that was the case. I had probably 7, 8 design tests that I went through, multiple interviews, and it became a strenuous process, very stressful process for months. And again, I mean, it came down to this one company up in Washington, but at the same time, there was just something about meeting Sumit and the timing of that, and it literally came down to a decision. I mean, I'm talking 2 weeks, whereas like, do I go here? Do we move the family up to Washington? I'm a California kid. That's gonna be a big jump, but it's sort of a known path, right? Like I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I know what 3 years down the line what that company's gonna look like, 5 years. Or there's this Sumit who's very energetic, passionate, very successful himself. He's got this idea. It kind of falls in the same realm. I get to start up an old passion, and ultimately, I mean, it was just like, you know, my wife, Leila, you'd make the decision, and she ultimately made the decision. She's like, just go for your passion, and that's kind of how it started.
Talk to me about like why Twitch, why that platform. I'm really interested for several reasons, which I'll get into in a minute. But.
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean.
So the video uploading of him with the wig and all of that stuff he did while he was working as a developer for Call of Duty, and then he looked at streaming.
I mean, going back to just like building levels, one of the things, you know, you always have your one monitor.
Who is the other guy? Sumit? Is that like the CEO of Twitch? No.
And that's kind of how it started.
Talk to me about like why Twitch. Why
He's not going to say anything, so it's not that
Levels,
interesting.
one of the things, and
Yeah.
up on the live stream, I've had.
Okay, let's
for,
just.
You know, sort of the engine you're working in, and then here's your third monitor. On my third monitor, I always had like Summit 1G.
Yeah.
Up on the live stream. I'd be watching Ninja play the old Halo games, you know, because he was so good at it. But there's just a draw to just like have that, and I could just look up every couple moments. Oh, it's 30 to 35. Game goes to 50. It's just kind of getting close. Now my attention's up here. Like, so the whole streaming was certainly an outlet, and an entertainment type outlet, rather than just listening to music. Sometimes you get in the zone listening to music, right? But
sure.
Video games, for whatever, the background noise, whatever. I mean, it's free TV, right? But TV doesn't have video games.
Right.
You know, this is yeah. So that's how I got into Twitch.
Yeah.
I just have it on my third screen. And just
I have a
watch it, and
display there as
eventually
well
I
in the
kinda, like, started
camera.
following
So
certain people again, like Summit and Ninja.
Sure, yeah.
it's kind of weird that I'm staring into the camera while watching
I'm
this.
curious to see, like, you know, Guy, like, how do you leverage the chat? How do you interact? How do you take advantage of that interactivity? Because it's obviously a very different relationship you have with your audience.
Well, that's a good question.
So keep in mind, he was using the private messaging feature in Twitch, which is what he's talking about. He's talking about his audience, the people he's chatting with during streams and stuff like that. So keep in mind what he confessed to, and then listen to what he says about like how he does everything with his streams.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's funny because when I first started streaming on Twitch, like the chat was the narrative.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like because you could stream a game and you entertain through the game, right?
Sure, yeah.
Especially as like a character. But like you need that third dimension, and that third dimension is the chat. Like, you know, because
Which I'm missing now.
Then now you have something you can draw a story off of, right? Like if he, you know, as the character always says, like if a guy flaps his gums in the chat, you know, he's negatively.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
He's being a, you know, a negative person, and it's like I'm gonna address that in a fun way as the character. So like in the beginning, and that's when I'm talking like where I had like 20 or 30 viewers.
Sure,
you
yeah.
know, and then in 200-300, then it becomes.
So he didn't just suddenly blow up, right? It just
Becomes more like there's a lot of energy there, and it's like, okay, cool.
It
now
grew.
we're really rocking and rolling.
organically.
Now it's really tough to engage what the chat's doing, right?
I'm
so,
sure. Yeah, just cruising by.
Yeah, so it's like it's actually become a little bit more difficult on where do you put your sort of your energy into.
And he puts energy into inappropriate messaging with a minor.
Because you've got donations,
So much time.
subbing, and you certainly want to
So
know,
busy.
right? Like that's. But at the same time, how can you still make sure that the people that are actually watching, the other, you know, thousands of people that are watching, are getting noticed or feeling wanted or empowered? And I think
That part really sticks out to me. It just shows that, you know, he knows how it works with his community. He saw it grow. He went down the rabbit hole of streaming. He was flooded with messages and engagement. So there was like a huge amount of, there was a flood of messages and stuff coming at him, right? And it's coming through Discord, which also banned him after Twitch did it. So it looks like Twitch actually talked to Discord and told them what it was about. Why am I not looking at the camera when I'm not watching the video? But yeah, he knew how those things worked. The intricacy. Oh man, I need to practice these words. He knows how it works, right? Big community, different channels, getting engagement everywhere, monetizing everything. He's like a business and tech savvy guy,
that's the
right?
most important part for a streamer, especially like sort of a bigger streamer, is like
Also, important to note, he realizes what it is to be a bigger streamer, right? He knows he's like one of the biggest streamers.
continuously empowering your community, and I think that's what we're trying to do at Boom. You know, we've got a replay system. So like if something cool happens
Yeah.
on the stream, you know, all of a sudden you see this emote spammed in the chat, and if it hits a certain amount of emotes, then that replay of that cool moment will happen live on stream.
What's the craziest thing that either?
That is pretty cool. Like he gets all of that. That is very technical, right? Like he's a nerd. He gets all that. It's a smart guy. Like that is clear. So he knew what he was doing.
kind of evolved organically
And he knew it was bad. But then his reactions are very dumb. And, you know,
from your chat, or what was the?
I can imagine that when it's about something like this, that your tweets are going to be maybe more emotionally packed or whatever, but like it really looks like he's too stubborn to take advice from the people around him on how to respond to all of this. And the only thing I can think of is that the people that were more involved in this and that were aware of this, which was a very small circle, is like his lawyers and maybe his wife. But that's it. And when it concerns his entire career, his reputation, his name, then, you know, he's like, this is mine. I need to take control. I need to address this, which I understand, but your gut reaction is not the right one.
The actual like best smackdown you did to somebody,
Oh,
all time.
I couldn't remember that.
There's so many.
I think a lot of things develop from the chat. Like if I'm in a moment and I'll say,
I'm blocking him, right?
one
Shit. How am I not noticing that I'm actually blocking him? Let's do it like this.
for one example is there's like the violence, speed, momentum sort of quote that the doctor says a lot. I mean, he said that after he killed like 3 guys in H1Z1, he's feeling good and felt powerful, and he screamed at violence, speed, momentum.
Oh, my hand
And
is.
I noticed that the chat
I
was
can't.
Going crazy. Love
going
it.
crazy, and they kept on repeating and repeating, and so now it's sort of a staple of the channel.
It's a mantra.
And a lot of those things are, you know, they certainly pop up from the chat, like that I forget about. Like, you know, when I first screamed Raul or Portugal or a lot of these weird things,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like the chat loves it. It seems like they
There is like some music inserted in it. It's super annoying.
and it's not necessarily wearing me down. It just doesn't.
Believe they're doing this so people don't re-upload. That's probably the reason. Someone mentioned it in the comments, which is super annoying. I'm allowed to investigate
Feel
this.
creatively challenging enough, and I don't know what that next level is or what that outlet could be, but I'm looking for it.
We can full screen again.
Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
We can't.
Cool.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Wenz. I was just wondering if you've ever experimented with answering a live stream of questions that are curated during downtime in between games, almost like a live and personal AMA with a chosen set of Twitch users.
I haven't thought of that. One of the things I have a challenge with is a structured like schedule of stream events throughout a stream. Like I'm terrible at it. Like Boom, I'm supposed to run Boom tournaments on Thursdays and Fridays at like 4 o'clock, right? And it's like 4:30, 4:45. I'm in the middle of the game. I'm getting texts. Like, hey, you can start that tournament. So for me that's certainly I like that idea. You know, I feel like I try to tackle again in an organic way. Like I'll look at the chat. If something catches my eye in chat during any sort of downtime between a game, or if I've died early and my teammate's still alive and I'm spectating him, I'll look at the chat. If I see something that is worth bringing up on stream and making it kind of like a narrative or story out of it, that's what I usually do. But that is interesting.
So, Guy, I had a
I mean, he has everything completely under control, right?
question for you. You had mentioned just in terms of elevating your creativity and kind of trying different platforms from Twitch, and you mentioned Netflix. So, just curious, what kind of partnerships are you most excited about in terms of the future of gaming?
God, that's annoying.
His demographic, not necessarily is worn out as welcome or anything like that, but his demographic, I'm not sure particularly caters to that demographic, this influx. So as Twitch is growing,
Wait, I want to know what he said.
like I'm not sure not as welcome or anything like that. It feels like the character there, like he not.
Okay, here we go. No.
It feels like the character there, like he not necessarily is worn out as welcome or anything like that, but his demographic, I'm not sure particularly caters to that demographic, this influx. So as Twitch is growing in that sort of capacity, like in that sort of way, is it the right fit for the character? And so like, I'm excited to hear how Mixer's gonna do, how their platform is gonna evolve over the next year or two. They're putting a lot of resources
It was like a pioneer, right? Wow.
in Facebook. Facebook.gg's just got into it. I'd be curious.
It's like people want to know, like, hey, Doc, which one is going to be the biggest? And he kind of influences this shit as well, because he's
how
getting
that
offered
platform evolves.
so much money.
Hulu, Netflix, you just got a feeling that
Yeah.
they're going to look at these numbers and just go, okay, we need to get into the live streaming.
Yeah, man. It was looking good, right? Yeah. So, what else is there to add, to be honest? I think that's it. I mean, looking back at how it went, are we going to get more information? Maybe. People have more details. There are lots of people that still defend him. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, it's fucked up, man. You done fucked up. Yeah. There's no coming back from this. And probably the more details he would share, the worse it will be. That's why he's not sharing those details. I'm out.